How are you doing, Chattanooga? Thank you for joining me today. This is Clutch with Keon Rose on 92.7 FM. The Masters, the tradition like no other, one of the best sporting events of all time. And we had a great one. We had a one with a fantastic finish. Ricky Fowler making a charge on Patrick Reed's lead coming down to the end of the Masters. I thought we had some great performances from a number of players, right? Mentioned Ricky Fowler, but I thought a number of other guys played well. I actually was impressed by Tiger Woods, right? That could be me being a homer. I am a Tiger Woods fan, but I was impressed by Tiger Woods. I thought that he finished well. Obviously, the giant hiccup of Friday in which he almost bogeyed himself out of existence, that happened. I mean, there's no taking that back, and I think that left him further back than maybe he should have been. But all in all, I actually was fine with Tiger Woods' performance. Patrick Reed, to me, is an interesting guy, though, because do we like him? He won, but that doesn't mean that you like him automatically. Now, if he wins more, we'll like him, because that's just how America works. When people win, then we like you. But you don't just win once and then we like you. And we're trying to figure out, do we like him? Patrick Reed, is he? He's got the sketchy past. You heard the stories and the rumors that pop up. And I like how this stuff happens when a guy wins. We didn't know that Patrick Reed was going to win the Masters, but then all of a sudden, now we start to hear about Patrick Reed, and maybe he allegedly stole stuff from his teammates and his coaches didn't like him and he was insubordinate. None of this stuff was talked before he won, right? Like you saw it happen with Villanova too. Dante DiVincenzo, he winds up being the player of the tournament, the actual star of the tournament, even though we didn't know that he was one until the final game. And all of a sudden, his very problematic tweets that he made when he was 14 years old surface. And it seems really ridiculous because, he's 14. He was 14. Who took the time to go, oh, this guy looks like he's having a good night. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back into his past. I'm going to scroll through his Twitter timeline and I'm going to ruin his night. Tried to. It almost worked. It almost worked until we realized he was 14 years old. Who hasn't done or said something absolutely stupid when they were 14 years old? I know I have. You probably have too. In fact, I mean, if you're a guy and you were 14, you definitely did stupid stuff. All of us did. that was all of us. Every single one of us. You can go back to 14 years old and think of exactly one stupid 14-year-old story that you have about your younger self. And I think it's weird that we did the same thing with Patrick Reed. He wins the Masters, and immediately all of this stuff about his past surfaces. And are we ready to like Patrick Reed? Because he does seem like he has the personality and the confidence and the swagger of a guy who could be a star. And whether we like it or not, golf needs one. And it can't be Tiger. It can't be Tiger. Unless Tiger just starts winning majors in chunks, it can't be him. Right? Like Tiger is the memory of a golf superstar. He's not a superstar anymore. He hasn't had superstar performances. He's had really great performances, but finishing in a bunch of top 10s is impressive, especially when you consider just how far along Tiger's come from his back surgeries. He's had 4 back surgeries in the last 2 years. Tiger getting back to this level is impressive. But unless he goes past this, golf still needs another superstar. It can't be Tiger Woods. And none of the guys that are great at golf at the top of their game now that we consider the next up-and-coming bunch of guys are really superstars. This whole tournament got invigorated. It got a shot in the arm at the prospect that Tiger Woods might be good. We need one of these younger guys to give this game that same shot, and I don't know if any of them can. I don't think Jordan Spieth can. Biggest Jordan Spieth fan there is. I don't think he can. His personality, while a good personality, and he's good with the media, and he seems like a nice dude, his personality is not a superstar personality. And by the way, being a superstar doesn't mean being loud and being brash and obnoxious. It doesn't have to be those things. Those things are not necessary for someone to be a superstar. Tiger is not any of those things. If anything, Tiger Woods is humble on a level that doesn't seem believable. I don't think that Tiger Woods is actually that humble. And Tiger Woods is not a particularly interesting interview either, but there's just something about him. There is an essence there. Jordan Spieth doesn't have it. Rory doesn't have it either. Rory has the swagger and the confidence, but he also feels like it also seems like Rory thinks he's better than you. And nobody likes the guy that thinks he's better than you. Nobody. And so I don't think that Rory can be it, as even if Rory gets back on track and winds up winning more golf tournaments, because Rory fell off and we didn't notice that Rory fell off. And that also goes to prove that he's not a superstar. He fell off and we didn't really care. He fell off and there wasn't even a point of discussion about it. Bubba Watson can't be a superstar. First off, Bubba doesn't finish in the top 10 really unless he's playing in a major. And then outside of that, he doesn't really win them. He's got 2 Masters. That's it. Bubba's personality is he's another porcupine. He doesn't embrace people. And he's talked about dealing with social anxiety and depression and all of that stuff. And I get it. I understand that does make it difficult for you to embrace people in life. And that's not his fault, but he can't be a superstar. Like, if you can't embrace people, you just can't be one. Or at least give off the appearance of embracing people. You just can't be one. Golf still needs it. Patrick Reed, he's the next man up, right? It's like the NFL next man up. Golf is, we're going to keep looking for one until we find one. It's an individual sport, and there's a vacuum there for it, and people want it. People want superstars. You're listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. I'm just talking about how the Masters has shown us that we have a desire for superstars. When you look at every league in sports, at every sport that there is, the sports that are really successful are the ones where there are superstars built into the game. And you can't get around it in any particular kind of way. You have to have them. And people complain all the time. We complain about UConn basketball, but they're the stars. We complain about LeBron and we complain about the Warriors, but they're the stars. And you can't get around a sport having a star. We complain about NFL quarterbacks, but they're the stars. They're built into the game to be the stars. You don't have stars, and eventually you have a sport that nobody wants to watch, that nobody cares about except for enthusiasts. That most people who watch golf play golf. And golf is one of the only sports like that. Not everybody who watches basketball plays it. Not everybody who watches football plays it. But most of the people who watch golf play golf. And there was a stretch of time when Tiger Woods is at the peak of his game, at the height of his powers, and people who did not play golf watched it. And I was one of those people. I just stuck around. I just liked the game. It grew on me. And I still watch golf to this day. But Tiger Woods made a lot of people interested in golf that would not otherwise have been. And I think this is sort of a problem in baseball, sort of, right? Like, there are stars in baseball, but the stars in baseball, out of all the stars in baseball, the only person that I really care about is Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, to me, seems to be the only guy that you could probably name on the street. If you're not a baseball fan, if Mike Trout walked past you on the street, and not you, but a casual fan, would they recognize Mike Trout? He's a nice guy, but Mike Trout is not a superstar. He's got all the ability in the world. Mike Trout is the best player in baseball, and it's not particularly up for debate. It's not. I love Bryce Harper. He's the second best player in baseball, but Mike Trout is clearly the best. It's not up for debate. You got to have stars. Baseball struggles with this. And I think golf, in the same way, struggles with this. It's very specialized. It's highly skilled. And I think that when you have to sit down and learn to appreciate the skill, you need someone who's doing it so obviously well and then has a personality in combination with it that people like, that people are drawn to. And there's not a formula for a personality that people are drawn to. There is no playbook on it. You either have it or you don't have it. It's one of those intangibles. When we talk about a guy having intangibles, like that's one of them, is just a magnetic personality. Do people like you or do people not like you? And people might not like you. And Mike Trout's not unlikable. He's just not actively likable. He enters a room and he's a nice dude. That's not particularly helpful in the realm of stardom. Aaron Judge has that star quality, though. I think he's got it. He's got it for sure. But yeah, that's the stuff from the Masters that I thought was interesting that I started thinking about. Just, do we like Patrick Reed? Can Patrick Reed really be a star in this sport? Because if we decide that we don't like him, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. But I see Patrick Reed as sort of being this John Daly kind of guy. He reminds me a lot of John Daly in terms of having an abrasive personality. He is cocky. He is arrogant, but he's really good. And he's very interesting. Like, you can't say that John Daly wasn't interesting. And I think that Patrick Reed, he reminds me a lot of John Daly. And we liked John Daly, ultimately. There's a charm there. I don't know if Patrick Reed has it, but if he's going to keep doing this winning thing and being in our consciousness, then we're going to have to figure out whether or not we actually like the dude. And the mixed reviews. What came back were mixed reviews. You're listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. This is Clutch with Keon Rose. If you're listening from Sports Talk with Sam Jordan, thanks for continuing to listen. I'm going to be filling in for Sam Jordan for the rest of the week. He's got a lot of administrative stuff on his hands, and he's going to be taking care of that. So I will be filling in. Do not be alarmed. So that didn't take very long. Giancarlo Stanton is already bombing in New York. He opened his time in New York hitting 2 home runs, and it looked like it was going to be the Stanton and Judge show for the rest of the season. And Giancarlo Stanton, at this point, has now not hit the ball in consecutive games. He's 0 for 5 in 2 consecutive games for the Yankees, and he is the first person to do that in the history of the live ball era of baseball. And Giancarlo Stanton, I think, is too talented for this to keep up. He's going to hit the ball again. He's going to find his stride. I do think making the transition to the New York Yankees is a tough transition. And just because he started out well doesn't necessarily mean that he was always destined to keep up that level of production. And also, I thought that the Judge Stanton experiment was going to work. But I also said that I think there's some things about the Judge Stanton experiment that don't work for me. And one is that both of those guys, while they have incredible power and just launch the ball just a million yards. I think like Giancarlo Stanton last year with Miami, he was hitting like 460-yard home runs. I mean, just stupid distances that don't make any sense. At the same time, I look at Giancarlo Stanton and I look at Aaron Judge and I see 2 guys that swing at everything. Everything. There's not a discerning eye for either guy when it comes to swinging at pitches. And I wondered how much of Giancarlo Stanton and how impressed we were with him was really good player on a bad team. Was Giancarlo Stanton, who, by the way, is the reigning MVP, National League MVP. Like, is he a guy that you can look at and go, yeah, he's actually great, or was he a good player on a bad team? Because we see this happen a lot. Blake Griffin, for many years, good player, bad team. But when you add other players around him, he just sort of disappears. It happens sometimes. And I thought Giancarlo Stanton might have been that kind of dude. And also, I think we overlook the flaws of a guy who's struggling on a bad team. It's okay for us to say, hey, this guy's great, because he's the only person near great on that team. It's the sort of big fish, little pond kind of deal where, yeah, you might be the best at whatever it is that you do in your city, but there's a big leap from that to being the best that you do in the entire country. It's a gigantic leap. And I think that Giancarlo Stanton went from where he is a guy that is the best in Miami, did really well, looked really good, and is now on a national stage. He's being compared more readily to people like Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. It's happening more frequently. And he's got to figure this out, because the longer this goes on, Yankee fans are impatient. They're impatient. They're an incredibly entitled group of people. They expect to win every game that they play. And when you go 0 for 5 and then you go 0 for 5 again, he did get booed. The Yankee fans will boo you. They're very passionate. And this experiment, in order for it to work, Giancarlo Stanton's going to have to start hitting. But Stanton and Judge are going to strike out a lot. They haven't reached the point that, I think, when you look at Mike Trout, that's the thing that makes Mike Trout great. That makes him not good, but great. That puts him in that great stratosphere. Is Mike Trout knows what to swing at. And he knows what not to swing at. You cannot swing at everything. Aaron Judge swings at everything. He had a slump last year that happened in large part because people sort of figured out Aaron Judge. And he swung at everything that was thrown in his path. And when he connects, it's truly dangerous. But he ain't connected a whole lot. And the two of them together, if the two of them have a slump together, I mean, you could just kiss the team batting average goodbye. It's out of here. The two of them don't discern pitches. And we get impressed with bat speed. Right? Like, it's funny because, like, there's ways in which sports are very similar. We do this with NFL quarterbacks all the time. We see Josh Allen and we go, ooh, oh, look at his arm. Look at the arm strength. Look how big and tall he is. Look, he can throw the ball 60 yards with the flick of a wrist. And nobody stopped to ask, is he accurate? Can he read a defense, which he can't? No one stopped to ask any of these questions. And it's weird to me that we do the same thing in baseball. We look at, oh man, look at the bat speed. Look how many homers he's hit. And it never occurred to anybody to ask, can Giancarlo Stanton hit great pitching? Can Giancarlo Stanton hit a ball that you don't intend for him to hit? Right? Like when you don't lazily leave a fastball over the plate, can he hit it? Can you trick him? Can he read the pitcher? Does he understand the psychology of the game? And I'm not bashing Giancarlo Stanton because I think that he's a really good player. But I haven't seen in his career anything that would suggest to me that he's the mental kind of player. He's really strong. He's really gifted. And that's how he's been relying. That's what he's been relying on in his entire Major League Baseball career. And at some point, you have to learn to tell pitches apart. It's going to get worse for him as a Yankee, I think, before it gets better, because I don't know how you fix that. I don't know how you fix a guy can't stop himself from being tricked. I don't know how you fix that. Giancarlo Stanton's got to fix that because he's in the wrong city to struggle for too much longer. Yankee fans aren't going to take it. And also, wow, the Yankees have done it again. They've traded for a really talented guy that's going to that may not be a perfect fit for their team. The Yankees have done this again. They have managed to learn nothing somehow. They had their farm system. They were developing it well. Then they traded for Giancarlo Stanton without figuring out whether or not he's a good fit for their team. It's A-Rod all over again. Clutch with Keon Rose. Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Three, two, one.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Vandals destroyed parts of an unopened bike trail at Enterprise South, destroying signs and defacing maps. The 5.5-mile trail was nearly finished, and a grand opening is scheduled for this Saturday. Southern Off-Road Bicycle Association volunteers working to build the trail system found the damage Friday morning and believe it was done overnight. The trail is still going to open despite the damage done. Cops say a woman found sleeping downtown robbed a bank, but only stole keys. Zygnovia Charles was found asleep inside the First Tennessee Bank on Market Street by a security guard. She ran away, but later was caught and is charged with burglary of a business. The race for the school board is heating up in Hamilton County. So far, 10 candidates have qualified for the race in districts 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, News Now.
Traffic, news, and information. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Chattanooga weather.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Quite cool again overnight. Lows 40 to 43. For your Tuesday, looking good. Lots of sunshine. Afternoon highs into the lower to middle 60s. Chilly again tomorrow night. Lows upper 30s with lots of sunshine and a nice warming trend for the midweek. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see why more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Soares 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Moore.
Radio 92.7.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM. Broadcasting live to over 1 million souls in Chattanooga, the Tennessee Valley, and beyond on frequency modulation 92.7. Sean Hannity, 25,000 watts on digital FM 95.3 HD4. CBS Radio News. NASCAR, Bloomberg Markets, David Toulis, streaming strong at NoogaRadio.com. Live on YouTube and Facebook. Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7. Chattanooga Radio.
High drive, left field, good, ball, baseball, look out, thrill.
Fireworks Fridays are back at AT&T Field. This season, your Chattanooga Lookouts had 18 fireworks shows. Book your seats today at lookouts.com.
Hey guys, do you need a mini man break? We know how busy you are, but don't let your hairstyle suffer. Come see the stylist at Sport Clips at Hamilton Place and let them treat you to the MVP experience. A precision haircut, legendary hot steam towel, massaging shampoo, and relaxing neck and shoulder treatment, all while watching your favorite sports. No appointment needed. Sport Clips at Hamilton Place, located in front of Home Depot.
Cash, 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 and more. No, gold, 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 and more gold. Rick's got the gold, gold, gold. Don't miss out. Tired of bank rates as low as 1%? What? Then you need to go to Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. That's right. Rick guarantees profit. Get your Gold American Eagle certified by the federal government and get 8.1% profit. Guaranteed. Rick Davis, 5301 Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Chattanooga. Gold, 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 and more gold.
Mom's Furniture, her boxes of paperback romances, Mom's Estate. Oh, call Dan. Dan will help you get on with your life. Let Dan clear the old house. Take care of everything. He'll hand you a nice check. 314-4034. Dan, the cleanup man. 314-4034. In this moment, who has your back? Do you know the name of your insurance agent? Does your agent know your name? Or would you call a 1-800 number that connects you with whom? Another state? Another country? Get a local independent insurance agent with Auto Owners Insurance. Someone you can call when bad stuff happens. In this moment, get an agent who will protect you in that moment. Let Goss Insurance in Chattanooga help you today. GossInsurance.wordpress.com. Goss, representing Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. GossInsurance.com. GossInsurance.com. Representing auto owners insurance, the no problem people. 875-2500. 875-2500. Want a business phone system that gives you Outlook integration, Salesforce integration, smartphone integration? Why desk sets and expensive lines? Turn smartphones into a cohesive business system. Call Signal 619-1200. Signal Voice and Data 619-1200.
Nuga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. News Talk Nuga Radio.
Sharp, opinionated, thought-provoking. Clutch with Keon Rose.
So currently, the Nationals lead the Braves 2-0 at the bottom of the fifth inning. Not that this matters for the Nationals, because I have seen this baseball team snatch defeat from the jaws of victory over and over again. Like, this is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. I don't know what to make of this. If I had $1 for every time that the Nationals have led going into the sixth inning and wound up losing the game just this season, I'd have at least $5. I'd have $3 for every game of the Mets series. And I'd have $1 for at least one of for both of those, for two of the two games that they lost against the Braves originally. They were leading all of those games, I believe, going into the fourth or fifth inning. It doesn't matter with the Nationals. They do not have anybody that can pitch in those middle innings, in the sixth, seventh, eighth inning. I mean, they don't have anybody. They got Scherzer on the mound. And at the very least, what Scherzer gives them is a guy who can go 9 innings. So that's nice, right? Like that'll give you some relief there. Like at least when you've got Scherzer on the mound, you don't necessarily have to go try and go to your bullpen because it's terrible for them. It's ridiculous. But then also, the other thing that I think is super interesting about the Braves is that they're, at least pitching wise, the inverse of the Nationals. They can close out a game if they've got a lead. And their pitching seems to get better in the fourth inning, fifth inning onwards. And that's a problem because they don't have pitchers that really give them quality starts, starting with Julio Teheran, who has been nothing short of absolutely dreadful. And I don't see how the Braves really move forward with him. Again, I think that Julio Teheran could be a very good pitcher if he's like your third banana. I think the Braves, I don't want to say they ruined him, but I think he got put into a spot of trying to achieve more than he actually can achieve because he's not necessarily a workhorse and he's certainly not an ace. And he's been treated like an ace since he's been in Atlanta. That's not who he is. And I wonder if the pressure of being an ace doesn't get to him. He starts a lot of games at SunTrust, and I'd be interested in seeing if he can actually do this again because Julio Teheran has done something in baseball that I've never seen another pitcher actually be able to replicate. And that is that Julio Teheran is amusingly bad at home. And you can be streaky. You can have highs and lows. You can win as many games as you lose in Major League Baseball. We've seen pitchers survive. But you can't be bad at home. That I've never seen in my whole life, and I would be certain that neither have you. I would be my guess. I've never seen it. I've never seen a guy can't play at home, can't pitch at home, can't win ball games at home. How do you figure? His record at SunTrust is bad, and it's already bad this season, and we just started. That was something that I hope that he knocks those kind of cobwebs loose, because I don't see how he stays with the team, even if they were to make him, third, fourth pitcher in their rotation, I don't see how he becomes a better player for them. I think he's got to go to a new team and start over. I think he does. Because I'm looking at his numbers at SunTrust, and they're dreadful. They're dreadful. And again, I ask you, when have you ever seen this in your life? I've never seen this. I've seen inconsistent guys, up and down guys that maybe the second half of their career is better than the first. That's one of those things that's a little bit perplexing, but possible. A guy that can't pitch at home? That's weird. Like, imagine if you were watching basketball and James Harden couldn't make shots at home. Like, LeBron couldn't make shots in Cleveland. He was fine on the road, but he couldn't make shots in Cleveland. That's strange. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what sport you're playing. I've seen guys get worse on the road. That's a thing. Some dudes don't travel well. You can't be at home well? That's not real. That seems like a fake thing. But there's no explanation. Like, I don't have any other explanations for what that is. You're listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com. By the way, the Chattanooga Lookouts, our AA team, lost to the Birmingham Barons on Sunday. Had a doubleheader. They lost 4-0, and then they lost 4-2. It's a rough start for them. It's a rough start because they look talented, right? Like, they're still, I think, one of the deeper teams in the Southern League. So you have to think that they're going to pull this together, and you have to think that they're going to wind up playing really well. They've got to snap this losing streak in the bud, though. To me, what I want to see from the Lookouts is just the offense to get going, right? Because I don't think that they're pitching poorly necessarily, but they don't necessarily have any offense generated, not hitting particularly well. Like I said, they got shut out in the first game of that doubleheader against Birmingham. And this is a team that's won the Southern League within the last year. So you can't have too big of a fall off. A number of guys did get called up to the Twins, but there's still enough talent on that roster that they shouldn't have these kinds of struggles to start the year. Seem a little bit flat-footed. I did watch them when they were playing against Chattanooga State. They were playing against the Tigers in that exhibition game it's a fundraising game. They play the Tigers, and the money goes towards the athletic department for Chattanooga State, and it's incredibly helpful for them. But I saw a team that did have the talent to hit. I watched batting practice for that day. And I mean, there's some guys that could just kill the ball on that team. So to me, if there was going to be a weakness, I didn't think it was going to be hitting. Certainly. It didn't seem particularly likely to me, is all I'm saying. You're listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. And I wonder what's going to happen to Odell Beckham Jr. I think it would be strange. I think it would be strange if Odell Beckham Jr. got traded. I know that the rumors are swirling around. Odell Beckham Jr., he's going to be traded. They're going to move him. The New York Giants have one great player on their football team, and it's Odell. They have one. It would be insane to move that guy. It would be insane to trade that guy because there is zero value, none, that you would get back for him that would make any sense. There's nothing you could get back for Odell that would match his value. Because, and especially in the NFL. I think the NFL is particularly brutal on teams that are trading. When people know you're about to trade, the value that you have for a guy falls off a cliff. People no longer offer you what the guy is worth because everyone is interested in trying to either win a trade or just try their hand at free agency. Okay, if we try to get him in free agency and we don't get him, we haven't lost anything. If we try to trade for him and we trade too much, we've set our team back. We've set our team back a long ways, and no one's willing to take those risks in football. Nobody. They don't want to. They'd rather not. And I think that that's crazy. I think it's one of those things that I find to be absolutely insane. And because if I could acquire Odell Beckham Jr., I'm not saying I'd give up the farm, but I'd give up a lot. I'd give up a lot. But Odell Beckham Jr. is also not a piece that you can really recklessly trade for because he's a wide receiver. And most teams that are satisfied with their offense are not typically satisfied with their wide receivers. They're satisfied with their quarterback. If you have a wide receiver who is great and a quarterback who is below average, your team is still going to be bad. It's still going to be bad. Wide receivers have a big impact on football games when your team is already good. That is when wide receivers are the most helpful to you. When your team's good. If your team is not good, adding a wide receiver is not going to change anything. You add a pass rusher when your team's not good, that can change some things. You add a quarterback when your team's not good, that can change some things. That's the reason why we go all in the draft to try and get quarterbacks. When you try to add an offensive lineman and your team's not good, especially a left tackle or right tackle, that can change some things. Getting a linebacker, especially a guy who can be the quarterback of your defense, that can change some things. Like wide receiver to me is actually the one position where if you're bad, adding that guy doesn't help you. And Larry Fitzgerald has been the example for this forever. Larry Fitzgerald is the best wide receiver on the worst team that I've ever seen in my life. Larry Fitzgerald, his career, for the most part, plays out like a tragedy. Calvin Johnson, too. Right? Like Calvin Johnson was playing on some mediocre Lions teams forever. Right? And it wasn't until Stafford got there that they got to be pretty decent. Larry Fitzgerald in Arizona never had a quarterback throwing him the ball. And we could still tell throughout his whole career how talented he was. You could still say Larry Fitzgerald is one of the best in the league. But Larry Fitzgerald, the best quarterbacks he's ever played with were Carson Palmer for 1 year and Kurt Warner for 1 year. The other Carson Palmer years were terrible. And even then, Larry Fitzgerald was amazing. Like Larry Fitzgerald's career, he's been close to a Super Bowl anytime he's ever had a quarterback worth anything. Like, think about that. Anytime he's ever had a quarterback worth a damn, he's been close to a Super Bowl. He's either gotten there or gotten to the AFC title game. That to me is bonkers. You get Odell Beckham Jr. on your team, and you don't have any of your other pieces together. You don't have an offensive line, and especially you don't have a quarterback. You're wasting your time. You're wasting whatever it is that you trade to get him. And that's why I think it's unlikely that Odell Beckham Jr. will be traded for. People want to say that the Patriots would like to trade for Odell Beckham Jr., but the Patriots are satisfied with their offense. It's like Tom Brady's great. I mean, they're going to score points and put up yards and make the playoffs because they've got Brady. Why would they trade for Odell Beckham Jr.? Why would any team with a great quarterback trade for him? Like, well, the Steelers wouldn't. They've got Ben. The Packers, who could use any kind of big name target, wouldn't trade for him because they've got Rodgers. Like, if you've got a great quarterback, you're satisfied with your offense. Really, the Packers need help defensively. Really, a lot of these teams need help defensively. They need a cover corner. They need a pass rusher. You can address that stuff in the draft. You can even address wide receiver in the draft because we've got a number of great wide receivers in the draft also. Cortland Sutton from SMU. I like him. He's speedy. He's not the biggest guy, but he goes up, competes for the football. He's pretty incredible. Calvin Ridley, Alabama. I mean, there are guys out there that can play if you go out and look for them, just in the draft alone. But what no one is going to do is trade for Odell Beckham Jr. And I say this as a guy who thinks that Odell Beckham Jr. is great and he would make your team much better. But you'd have to already have a quarterback first. And if you already have needs, there's nothing you could give up that would make trading for Odell Beckham Jr. actually worth it. It wouldn't. You're listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. It's just crazy to me. Like the idea that all of these trades are something that you can go out there and propose like they're going to actually happen. Another thing that I saw in the NFL, especially with the draft, is that the Giants, for whatever reason, didn't like Josh Rosen. And I wonder why. Josh Rosen seems to me to be one of the two best options at quarterback in the NFL draft. They do like Darnold, so that's good. Because if you don't like Rosen or Darnold, I think you need to fire your scouts immediately. You have to choose one of those two guys. I think they're both great. I like Darnold a bit better than I like Rosen. I just think he's tougher. I just think he's had a rougher go at becoming a starting quarterback in college. And I like that. The little bit of adversity. It makes you tougher. It just does. Josh Rosen's a guy, has always been great at football, always been great at quarterback. No one ever questioned his ability. And his parents are rich. I mean, he's not a guy that needs to play football, which is something that does scare NFL teams, a guy with options. But that to me, again, that's puzzling. The guy thinks for himself and he's got options. So that's scary. And I'm not sure why that's scary. He's choosing football. He's been playing football. If he wanted to quit and do something else, he would have quit and done something else. He wants to play football. He has obviously chosen the game of football. When a guy has options and he chooses something, I think that is a testament to how resolved they are, right? Like, I don't know, like ladies listening, would you rather date a guy who is smart enough and funny enough and attractive enough to date other people? Or would you date somebody who has no options? Is like that seems normal to me. If somebody has options, that makes them usually more attractive. Right? Like you're a guy, like most guys are attracted to like supermodel women, essentially. Like everybody likes Kate Upton. She's very, very pretty. But everybody knows like Kate Upton doesn't want you. That's part of the attractiveness, is that you know she's so attractive, she could have anybody she wanted. Josh Rosen could do any number of things. He does not have to play football. So the fact that he's choosing football, I would think would be a plus. And yet it's not a plus. The fact that Josh Rosen likes to think for himself and is politically outspoken and is highly intelligent. Again, you would think this would be a plus. But it is the NFL that you don't like a guy that thinks. It scares GMs and it scares coaches that there's a guy out there that likes to think for himself. And it's bizarre. There's no other sport in which that's possible. Like, one of the pluses about LeBron James is that his basketball IQ is through the roof. LeBron thinks for himself. And Kobe, very willful person. Jerry West thinks for himself, very cerebral. That's why Jerry West has been so successful as a guy that's run a lot of NBA organizations. He's really good at it because he's incredibly smart. Football is the only sport where a guy is smart, and that's scary. Why? We want a guy who's smart enough to process information, make snap judgments and decisions, but we don't want a guy so smart that he'll question the coaches. And I have to ask why. Right? And it's crazy to me because a lot of the best quarterbacks in the league are that smart. Like Peyton Manning was that smart, and he questioned coaches all the time. Tom Brady is that smart. He doesn't question Belichick, but that's because it's Belichick. You just don't. And no matter how smart you are, Belichick's smarter than you. That's for sure. You're listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 24 hours.